Okay, good morning to all. Today we are going to discuss about this space immunology. First we will have a look one by one. This is about the space pharmacology. It is a study current knowledge of about the pharmaceuticals during the space flight. Generally astronauts or people trained in the Russian Space Agency will be called as cosmonaut, and people who are trained in the NASA will be called as astronauts. So here, what are all the physiological effects in space flight? First one, about the space motion sickness. It is a travel sickness, and it mainly deals with the disagreement in the vestibular system. And also one of the main causes is dizziness and nausea and fatigue. Next one is about the fluid distribution and cardiac rhythm. This is one of the very important physiological effects in the space flight. Let us have a look of the fluid distribution. So this is different things or different microgravity, and this credit goes to Virginia E. Watering of Johnson Space Center. And here you can see this picture that is on Earth, on ground level. The fluid first it will mainly moves what is the blood pools towards the lower parts of the body. Then next, in the initial stage in space, what will happen here, the fluid it will mainly move upward towards the chest and head. In the initial stage in the space, fluid moves upward towards the chest and head. Then coming to the next stage, after adaptation to microgravity, what will happen? The kidney mainly reduces the fluid volume, and it mainly reduces the pressure in the chest and in the head. Then immediately after return from space, what will happen here? The fluid moves downwards towards the lower part of the body. And cardiac rhythms, the next is very important, is a decreased immune system. And so here we are going to discuss in detail about the space immunology. And next, loss of bone density, muscle mass and eyesight. So generally astronauts will do very little muscular contraction, and it mainly leads to the atrophy. And also what is that loss of bone density here, then sleep disorders and renal function impairment. So these are all the various things. So in here the decreased immune system, here decreased immune cell function. So the decreased immune cell function, and it will, what is the major thing here, it will mainly alter some of the cytokine what is that imbalance. And also the next part, it will mainly reactivate the latent virus. So these are all about the decrease in the immune system. And also the main causes for this microgravity, decreased immune system, is one of the main causes of microgravity. And second one is about the physiological and psychological stress. Then radiation will also play a major role here. And the last one is about the circadian rhythm. And here you can see this one. This is about the first pharmaceuticals in US space flight. So Demerol, there is a pain relief injection, then followed by what is it? This one is a Tigan, motion sickness, used to treat motion sickness. This is an astronaut named Gordon Cooper. He carried preloaded drug injectors in space suit pocket. Can see the preloaded one with the motion sickness. This is a Tigan injection. And this is about some of the various medical complaints in the space. You can see one by one here. You can see the very important one is insomnia is there, then upper respiratory tract infection. This is based on ISS mission, the International Space Station. And you can see the arrhythmias is a cardiovascular problem, then muscular one, and about the eye one, conjunctival irritation. The next, based on space shuttle, that is 88 and 95. You can see these are various medical complaints in the space, maybe the muscular pain and other things. And coming to the important portion of this is a space immunology. So space flight results in many negative health effects and causes may include microgravity, radiation, and isolation and stress. So what do you mean by microgravity? Anyone? So microgravity is nothing but people or object, okay, appears to be weightless. Okay, this is called as microgravity. And also we cannot term this as zero gravity. Okay, so because there is a low gravity there in the space. Okay, and next one is about radiation will also play a major role here. Okay, it will also leads to what is it, immunosuppression, and isolation and stress will what is it, will also leads to some of the physiological changes. That means stress means it will mainly increase the stress hormone levels, particularly adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol. And here you can see previous study reveals the immune system is dazzled and confused during space flight. And immune system dysregulation in humans has long been a recognized phenomenon immediately following short and long duration. Long duration means maybe 6 months to 1 year. And you can see the various missions here during the Apollo program. 15 of the 29 astronauts developed an infection either during or right after flight. Next, 40 years later, they're going to look in results. It shows immunosuppression begins within 60 hours of flight. So what will happen if there is an immunosuppression? Immunosuppression means it will mainly leads to, what is that? Reduce the T cell activation. It's nothing but the T lymphocytes, white blood cell. So reducing the T cell activation. Then once there is a reduce in the T cell activation, what will happen next? It will mainly reduce the particular cytokine, mainly interleukin. Interleukin 2 level is reduced here. Once interleukin 2 level is reduced, then interleukin 2 receptor expression is also reduced. So finally what will happen? Cannot able to counter the infection. So normally what is the normal way of what is the molecular pathway? If the interleukin 2 is produced, it mainly binds to interleukin 2 receptor, that is alpha, beta, gamma. Then what will happen? Immediately phosphorylation will take place, and it will mainly activate the JAK-STAT pathway. Then it leads to transcription, then translation proteins, then finally leads to the proliferation of the T lymphocyte. This is a normal process. So if there is a decreased T cell activation, what will happen finally? Receptor expression decrease and the synthesis of IL-2 is decreased. Finally cannot able to counter the infection. And you can see here the human research program NASA, the immunology laboratory, is actively working to characterize the changes in the astronaut immune system during a space flight, and also countermeasures to help mitigate the clinical risk of astronaut during these missions. So maybe to the other planets, that is the Mars or other things. Or next one is about the typical mechanism of action. You can see this is one is a NASA one. What is it? Here you can T cell in microgravity. So what will happen here? It will mainly decrease the T cell activation here, and also it will mainly decrease the T cell activation genes. T cell activation gene is decreased in the microgravity. So mainly they are talking about the microRNA. MicroRNA is a non-coding RNA, which is mainly responsible for the counter infections. So during the in the microgravity, T cell, it mainly inhibit the T cell activation gene, and they may to mainly suppress the microRNA. And here a research article which is mainly published by Brian Cruzy and NASA Johnson Space Center, and in the journal called Journal of Interferon and Cytokine Research. And it is titled as a plasma cytokine concentration indicate in vivo hormonal regulation of immunity is altered during long space flight, And the authors from University Space Research Association, Mercer University. And you can see, so they have collected the data. Plasma concentration 22 cytokines were monitored in 28 astronauts during long-term space mission. That is the ISS, so mission duration is 6 months, and 21 male and 7 female. So age between 49 plus or minus 4, and got the approval from the Institutional Review Board at NASA. Then informed consent was obtained from the participants. The blood samples were collected 3 times before flight, 3 to 5 times during flight, at landing, and 30 days after landing. So what is the results? The result shows reduction in general T cell function, reduction in interleukin 2 level. Interleukin is a pleiotropic hormone. And next one, significant reduction in the production of interferon, gamma, interleukin 10, interleukin 5, tumor necrosis factor alpha, and interleukin 6. So this pattern of cytokine dysregulation suggests multiple physiological adaptation persist during flight. And next one we are going to discuss about a year in space mission. That is mission endurance. You can see this is the Soyuz TMA-16 launch vehicle being transported to launch pad at Baikonur, Kazakhstan. This one. And this is about the flight surgeon. Flight surgeon was a military person, Joe Schmidt in Kazakhstan. And this is about the year in space mission. Scott Kelly, this is a twin brothers, Scott Kelly, and this is a Mark. So Scott is in the space, that is ISS, Mark in the ground, that is in the earth. So they will take the blood sample of Scott and the Mark. So they will study what is the changes, physiological changes during the microgravity and at the same time in the earth. So this is mainly what is that leads to develop a new pharmacological intervention on nutraceuticals to to counter some of the physiological problems in the long space mission. And this is about the NASA astronaut Scott Kelly and his Russian cosmonaut Mikhail Kornikov. And this is about the NASA astronaut Scott Kelly inside a Soyuz simulated Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center. This is a Yuri Gagarin is a first cosmonaut, first person to reach the outer space. So here this is the Yuri Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center, which is mainly situated in the Star City of Russia. You can see the simulator. And the first results from NASA twin experiment surprise scientists. What is that one? In NASA study, twin astronauts show stresses of space travel. As I already mentioned you, if there is a stress means it will mainly hike the stress level hormones, and also it will mainly lead to the suppression of the immune system. Then finally it will mainly reactivate the latent virus and more prone to the infection. And this is about how stressful will trip to Mars be on the human body. So here you can see telomeres and telomerase. So after reaching the planet Earth, they studied Scott Kelly's blood sample and other things, and finally they'll come to know what is that telomeres and telomerase. What do you mean by telomeres? Telomeres, it will mainly protect the chromosome from degradation, and telomerase is an enzyme that is mainly responsible for the adding of telomeres to the chromosome. And here you can see normally telomeres decrease in length as a person ages, but Scott telomeres on the ends of chromosome in the white blood cell increases in length. This is a parameter. Okay, this is the thing they have recorded after land on the Earth. So they found that telomeres, Scott Kelly's telomeres increased in length while in space. However, upon his return to Earth, they began to shorten again. And you can have a look of this chromosome with the telomeres, the green one. Okay. Yeah, you can see this is a cell, and inside the nucleus is there, and this is a chromosome, This one is about the telomere and the double-stranded DNA and single-stranded one. And you can see what are all the changes here. In the aging cell, telomere shorten each time a cell multiplies, and dead cell, you can see telomeres are depleted here. And the last one, immortal, telomeres lengthens and restores. Okay, and you can see the early results from examination of NASA Scott and Markelli. It revealed alteration to gene expression during space flight and change in gene expression, and you can see Scott telomeres return to normal quite quickly after he returned to Earth. Then a separate study due to be completed in 2018 will investigate why this happened. This is the one. You can see the individual study. They have collected all this data 2015 to 2016. So biochemical, DNA, proteomic, immune, telomeres, and other things, microbiome and vasculature, and the integrated collector pulled together all this data in 2017, and they made a summary of the paper late 2017. Then the final version, that is the final data, the theme paper will be expected 2018. For this a year in space mission, there is a mission endurance. And this is about the few picture. You can see the blood withdrawal. Okay, that Scott Kelly is helping this one, and a nice photo, I think so. You can see this is from the International Space Station. Okay, and you can see maybe a flu shot. Can administering a flu shot on its own. And next one, 300 days in space. And you can see this is what is that, playing with that one. Okay, maybe orange. And this is astronaut strengthening condition and rehabilitation. Okay, and behavioral health picture, you can see this one. And this is about the fluid shift study. Okay, so the astronaut or cosmonaut, they have to undergo several studies. Okay, and this one is about the blood collection, what is that kit. Okay, it contains all these things. And this one is about the saliva. Okay, this what is that, cotton roll is there, and they have to place it in the mouth, and then they have to collect the saliva sample, and it will be subject to study the various parameters. And this is about the toxicology and environmental chemistry. And this is a photograph, shows after reaching what is that on the Earth. This is Scott Kelly. This picture is from the Baikonur, Kazakhstan. And these are all the various space missions: Apollo missions, Skylab missions, Salute and Mir missions, then ISS. Okay. So the first two missions, what is it? They plan to send what is that, initial some few tablets and other things. Then they are planning to send some what is it, military flight surgeons. Then what is it? They have made all these kits and all in the full-fledged system in the ISS missions. And you can see this is a proud one of Rakesh Sharma, who was the first Indian to travel in space in 1984. He flew to the Salute 7 space station. The cosmonaut Rakesh Sharma. And this is a joint program by ISRO and Soviet Intercosmos Space Program. You can see what is the image is flight about at the Soyuz T-11. Duration in outer space also 21 hours, and is mainly involved in biomedicine and remote sensing. Yeah, this one we are expecting. This is our indigenous system, Indian Human Space Flight Program, that is called as orbital vehicle, expected on 2024. Thank you very much.